Hey y'all, welcome to the channel. Today we're checking out The Budget Was So Low They Couldn't Even Afford. It's about Monty Python and the Holy Grail making the movie.
Can you give me a brief synopsis of the film? Is that possible in the space of half an hour or so?
Well, I don't think it is, really. I don't think it is.
We'll try in then 30 seconds.
Right.
Jesus Christ!
Hang on, before we get started, this channel is called Cinema Sticks, and they do a lot of really good essays about filmmaking. If you're into films or filmmaking or anything related to film or video or TV or just that sort of thing, check them out. They're really good. They got a lot of good videos. Moving on.
So, a couple weeks ago, I showed a little more than half of what I wanted to show, and said a little less than half of what I wanted to say about Monty Python and the Holy Grail.
He's got huge, sharp. He can leap about. Look at the bones!
This isn't part 2 exactly, just another 49 to 51% of my love and adoration for this movie.
Okay.
I could stay a bit longer.
And so I wanted to...
Get on with it. Yes, get on with it!
Okay.
Right.
Yeah. So, money.
Do you know how much it cost?
Money.
How much did the movie cost? The movie cost $400,000.
If you do not agree to my commands, then I shall...
Pretty low budget.
The producer rang me up and he said, we don't have a very big budget. Would you mind very much sharing your hotel room? I said, what the are you talking about? I'm a film star.
What happens now? Well, now, Lancelot, Galahad, and I wait until nightfall and then leap out of the rabbit, taking the French by surprise.
So, Holy Grail, released in 1975, was the first of Monty Python's feature-length projects, and by a country mile, its most financially restricted, directed by the two Terrys of the group, Terry Gilliam and Terry Jones.
Come to this mark there, to where Suko is. Suko even further.
We do take.
2 directors. That's a recipe for a nightmare. You're asking for trouble. I don't care if they're the best of friends. That's going to cause more trouble than it's relieving, right?
Tag team directing. And he finishes that, he'll come out here and exhaustedly tap me on the shoulder and I'll rush into action and away we'll go.
Who leaps out? Lancelot, Galahad, and I. Leap out of the rabbit.
And from the first day of shooting Grail, the two were faced with challenge after challenge.
There it is! The Bridge of Death!
Oh, great.
We first of all chosen an impossible location about half a mile up Glen Coe. So everything had to be humped by Sherpas up the mountain. We got up there, the very first shot of the film, the big moment, the camera turns and it jams.
Ask me the questions, Bridgekeeper. I'm not afraid.
So we didn't have a sound camera, and all our great laid plans were suddenly up in the air. This incredible location, no camera, and no experience. That's the worst thing.
The Pythons only had one sound camera on set because they could only afford one. They shot what they could for the Bridge of Death sequence on mute and picked the rest up later.
One sound camera? I thought you record sound separately on a separate sound recorder, like a Nagra. You know what I'm talking about? But they were recording the sound on the camera? Sound film camera. You can get one for $38 on Amazon. Hang on, y'all. I went to audio engineering school, and that's not how they taught me how to do it. They taught me to use one of these. Well, an older version of that, but it's a separate recorder. You don't record sound on the camera. I guess that's how low budget it was. You can record optically. They have optical recorders. The sound is printed on the film as a visual waveform, which it blows my mind. And then there's a sensor that can read that. Guess that's how they were doing it. Or I guess some film strips have a magnetic strip on the side. Maybe it was magnetic. I don't know. I'm going down a technical rabbit hole I don't need to go down. Anyway, tell me more about this.
They shot what they could for the Bridge of Death sequence on mute and picked the rest up later.
Before I move on, I just want to note, all the smoke, I don't think that's really there unless they're filming next to a volcano. I think they had to pump that smoke in.
They shot what they could for the Bridge of Death sequence on mute and picked the rest up later. All the while, Graham Chapman, who played Arthur, W.G. Grace rest his soul, couldn't even cross the bridge without a double due to symptoms of severe undiagnosed alcohol withdrawal.
Oh.
And that was just day one.
What are the symptoms of alcohol withdrawal? If you drink alcohol heavily for weeks, months, or years, you may have both mental and physical problems when you stop. Anxiety, shaky hands, headache, nausea, vomiting, insomnia, sweating, confusion, racing heart, high blood pressure, fever, heavy sweating. Doesn't sound fun.
Actually, I'm surprised that everybody was in such a good mood, actually, looking at the outtakes. There's a lot of laughter going on. I hadn't remembered the laughter. All I remembered was the agony of filming it.
And we had so little money, there were 4 umbrellas on the whole set. And this nasty chainmail, which was knitted string, would start getting damp. And by 9 o'clock, you were cold and wet. And then at 6 o'clock, when the first assistant said wrap, there was this rush, wasn't there, for the cars? Do you remember? Because there was only enough hot water for 40% of the people at the hotel.
For what little money the Pythons had to work with, though, that they could afford to make a feature-length film at all was quite literally a rock and roll miracle.
I'm interested in the way this film has been backed financially, because you haven't got the usual sort of backers. You've got the Pink Floyd, and
a lot of rock money, yeah, because that's
rock money.
I mean, I think that's a hardcore Python fans. You know, we've got Pink Floyd, Led Zeppelin, we've got a lot of record companies,
Led Zeppelin too,
Chrysalis, Charisma, and Michael White, the theatre producer. And, you know, that's, I think they are the real hardcore Python freaks, you know.
It was basically a fan-supported movie. Then once the movie was financed, it was just the not-so-simple matter of actually staying under budget and playing to the team's strengths in order to get away with stuff most films just never could. For instance, after scene 5, we're introduced to the book of the film, which was really just a clever ploy to move the plot along without having to actually shoot anything more than some pages turning on Terry Gilliam's living room floor, his wife's hand, and a Gorilla Glove from a local joke shop. Similar deal with Gilliam's animations, as I mentioned a couple weeks ago.
And there was much rejoicing.
And something I also mentioned was the fact that the shooting script for Holy Grail was really, really tight. Sure, any number of things might have been added or altered, even right up until the last minute, but remarkably little ad-libbing actually occurred once the camera started rolling. This allowed the Terrys to shoot only what they needed, and very, very fast. 5 or 6 weeks for the whole thing, keeping costs down.
That's quick.
A sacred quest.
Yeah, once you start letting people ad-lib, that's a whole Pandora's box. I've directed a couple short films.
This allowed the Terrys to shoot only what they needed, and very, very fast. 5 or 6 weeks for the whole thing, keeping costs down.
With a sacred quest. If he will give us food and shelter for the night, he may join us in our quest for the Holy Grail.
But what charmed me the most was the way they shot.
God!
Long, wide, and uninterrupted.
Yes!
Yes! Not to leave the room.
Y'all, yes. Comedies work in the wide shot. I don't remember who taught me that, but it's the truth. It's like theater. You just want to film the stage because there's body movement, the timing. You don't want to cut between the natural comedy, right? Let the actors feel that out. And in the wide shot, you're choosing who you get to look at, which is great. I love films that do that. Even that aren't comedies.
Not a lot of inserts, not a lot of close-ups.
Message for you, sir.
Not so unlike a lot of TV at the time. Fast and economical. The world they were all coming from anyway.
Right! So the whole wide shot thing is what they were used to. And that helped their budget. Because like one scene could just be 1 or 2 camera setups. You don't have to do a close-up and a medium shot and all that stuff.
See, if you're smart about it, you can shoot an entire wedding massacre scene like this.
Yes. Most films of the time, and definitely films of now, would have a shot for this attack, and then when he swings the sword that way, there's a shot for this attack, and it would be cut all through. But they're just doing one 14-second shot with some very minor stunts, and it works, and it's funny.
Or you can just use the same one shot over and over. And get a joke out of it.
Hey! Hey!
It probably didn't hurt their budget either that the Pythons inherently saved a bundle on actors, with 6 of them playing and double playing the vast majority of roles.
Right.
The troupe says most of the casting was determined by who'd written what. If a scene centered around a particular night and a particular Python wrote that scene, he'd play that night.
It's gotten weird. There were a couple days where we actually couldn't keep track of who was who. You couldn't do one shot because John had to be somebody else, so we couldn't do that shot. So we didn't have to do that shot.
Oh, that would be confusing.
Over there.
5, Peter. 3, 3.
Which meant changing that. We got it done then.
Is there someone else up there we could talk to? No.
As for everybody else, you have a couple of actresses. The witch, played by John Cleese's wife at the time.
I'm not a witch, I'm not a witch.
The nuns of Castle Anthrax.
They have a basic medical training, yes.
But largely, it was just locals or crew. The detective here was the film's production designer. One of the constables, the visual effects photographer. The film's composer was an extra.
Either create the lump in the throat, or make the back hairs stick out.
And all the rest were either tourists visiting Doune Castle, in the case of the wedding scene, or students from the University of Stirling in Scotland, about 175 of them in the case of Arthur's army at the end. A lot.
French person!
That's really smart, because anybody can be a film actor. You just have to do it right once. Being a theater actor is much more difficult because you have to do the whole play in one take. Film, you do it 100 times. Just get that one right time. Easy. Well, not easy, but pretty much anybody could do that. You know? It's not that hard.
A lot.
French person!
But not nearly enough.
The fact is, there were only about 200 extras, and we were set up with this enormous battle scene which we couldn't film because we didn't have enough actors.
Till each one of you lies dead.
My daughter, she said, "Was that the ending?" And I said, "Yeah, I wrote it." She said, "That was shit."
I'm not going to go too deep into all of that for the sake of spoilers, but let's just say it was all a very inventive solution to what was ultimately a budgetary issue.
I'm going to spoil the ending for you, y'all. I assume you've already seen the movie. If you haven't, go watch it right now and then come back to this spot. Okay, so at the end, modern day cops, or from the 1970s, cops show up and arrest everyone. It's an easy way to get out of filming a battle scene. I also want to point out that Terry Jones's helmet, this whole time, he can see through it, but still he pulls it up. Throughout the whole film, he's pulling it up.
And again, the kind of solution that only works because of the nature of the film, and one you might only consider because of the nature of the budget. But all that is also Grail's biggest secret and boon. Being silly, being unexpected.
Quite.
Getting from A to B by whatever means necessary. As Terry Gilliam has said, if you maintain a low standard of production from the start, you can get away with anything.
5-1, take 2.
It's what allows you to solve quote-unquote problems in the plot, like this.
When suddenly, the animator suffered a fatal heart attack.
And besides, hey, endings...
Cut it. Cut.
Endings are hard.
Yeah.
I know sometimes life can be tough.
Cinema Sticks does some good essays about films. Be sure to go to their page and subscribe. I think Monty Python are really good at taking a problem and turning it into an opportunity. Pretty brilliant. What a fun film. So he said the nature of the film and the nature of the budget worked together to make this. Making films is really tough. It's all problem solving. When you're at the producer level or the director level, it's just one problem after another. Money issues, dealing with weather, people, food, gas, cars, driving people, transportation, hotels. It's just a huge mess of problems that have to be solved. And a lot of the problems are subjective too. There's more than one way to solve it. I was shooting a short film and I was the director, and it was up in the Los Angeles National Forest, up in the mountains. And we all drove all the way up there, and I forgot my camera tripod. So we ended up propping the camera up on rocks, and it actually probably made some of the camera shots more interesting and more inventive and have more of a point of view, because it wasn't just camera on a tripod at eye level looking at the scene. It was from the ground, or whatever story. We put it in a rock, like this rock formation, jammed it in there. Made us be more creative. Similar thing. Not that that short film is anywhere near the quality of Holy Grail, but problem solving. That's all filmmaking is, really, when it comes down to it. That's all life is, really. Did we just figure it out? It's all problem solving. And eating and sleeping. Anyway, this is a great movie. Check it out if you haven't already. Check out Cinema Sticks too. Great channel. Well, thank y'all for watching this with me, and I'll see you next time. Later.